in case we are not, just please have some patience with us. We have a power-packed agenda for today. As you can see on the screen now, the table of contents, we're going to be covering testing automation for mobile web and then the mobile applications. Next, we're going to cover load testing of web services for mobile scenarios, and then we'll round up the presentation, the webinar today, with device cloud testing. So that's the agenda for today. Three very important topics as you're contemplating the web applications. And to cover the three topics, we have three presenters for the day. We have Lohit first. He's already been talking to you, so he's a technical evangelist, also a Microsoft MVP. His contact details are mentioned on the screen there. That's me, Abhishek. I take care of the various technical operations in India. My contact details are also mentioned there. My Twitter handle is Abhishek Kant. And finally, we have Dan Levy, who's joining us from abroad, really from United States. He's the Senior Product Manager for Mobile Testing Product Suite, and he's going to talk to us about what's latest in mobile testing, including the capability to do device cloud testing. All right, so without further ado, we wanted to present you, as we started with the mobile application, we just wanted to talk quickly about what is the anatomy of a mobile application and why are we talking about three different things during this presentation. So if you notice on the extreme right is the database server. This is the data that people want to expose to the devices that you see on the right, on the extreme left. So you may have a mobile device, and on that you may have a mobile application running. You also may have a tablet or another mobile device which you're going to be accessing a web page, again using a browser on the mobile device. That we refer to as mobile web. Now everybody is familiar with the fact that if you have to render anything on a browser, you need simply HTML. That is a known fact. Everybody does know that. However, when mobile applications are conversing with data over the internet, the protocol that they're really using is not HTML. They may actually be using a subset of HTML, or rather a specific, I would put it this way, a specific, I don't know, technology called REST, which essentially captures only the data and is used to ferry the data back and forth. You may have come across terms like AJAX. So AJAX is the way you would actually be making these calls, but ultimately the data being transferred is over REST. Now even a mobile web application, while maybe rendering its data using HTML, may actually be gathering its data from the backend database server using REST calls. Now to convert the data which resides in database server to these REST calls, we have an intermediate application server. Now this application server can be written, can be had in any language. Almost every language has support for REST. Every technology, be it Windows, if you're on LAMP stack, or if you're using any other technology, has a way to convert and expose data from the database server to these REST services. Now, what becomes important as we are going to be testing our mobile applications is, number one, obviously, if things on mobile end are looking and feeling and working as they're expected to work. So that is brilliant. That is what part one of our presentation today is going to be, and that's what Lohit is going to be covering in a second. The other important thing is whether these REST services are scalable or not. We need to test this extensively as well when we're doing mobile application testing, is because these mobile devices are unlike earlier desktop applications. What I mean by that is, while you had very limited, or you could control how many desktop applications or how many laptops were going to be accessing a particular application data, with mobile devices, it's quite different. You may have 2, 3 or 4 mobile devices that are talking to a specific application server. So the scalability issue on the application server is of special importance for mobile scenarios. And that is why in part 2, we will cover this specific feature, which is how do you load test a mobile application. In part 3, we cover the problem of device fragmentation, and we will have Dan Levy talk quite a bit about the device fragmentation and how, while you can build your mobile application for one scenario, you may want to test it on multiple devices. So do you want to buy 300 devices, 200 devices? Is it even feasible to do that? So it's not. And a solution that we have come out, and currently it's in beta right now, is called device cloud testing, and that's the last part of the presentation for the day. All right, so with that, let's begin, and I'll hand it over to Lohit, who will take us with how to test mobile applications when you're doing functional testing on the front end. So it's over to you, Lohit.
Thanks, Abhishek. Let me switch presentations now. Okay, you guys should be seeing my screen in a minute. Okay, so thanks, Abhishek. That was a pretty good, representation of what we're trying to do today: mobile app, mobile web app. Everybody's talking to a particular application server over a REST-based service, and then, of course, the app server connects to the DB server. So our focus today is not on the right-hand side. Rather, we'll be looking at the left-hand side, which is I may have a mobile web app, or I may have a mobile app, so how do we test it? So we're going to pick, with the interest of the time, the easiest one to attack today is, let's assume I have a mobile web app. And so basically a mobile web app is nothing but it's hosted on an app server. So if somebody navigates to this particular web app on a mobile browser, meaning I may have an Android device, I may have a Windows Phone device, I may have an iOS device, but I launch a browser within the device and then navigate to this particular web app, and then this particular web app is now customized for my mobile screen. It's a 4-inch screen or a 4.5 screen, 4.5-inch screen or a 4.7-inch screen. Various form factors. So typically we will make sure that this is giving a different experience, and we call this as a mobile web app. So the same application, when navigated on a desktop browser, is going to give you a completely different UI, whereas on a mobile browser it's going to give you a completely different UI. So today we're going to talk about, if we have a situation wherein we have a mobile web app, how do we test it using something known as Telerik Platform. So now we're going to introduce you quickly to something called as Telerik Platform. So the Telerik Platform, as you can see here, is nothing but kind of a pieces that makes up the A to Z, or I like to call this as A to Z of mobility. You start out with designing. Basically, you don't want to jump into code in the first place. You will start doing a prototype. Once the prototype phase is finished, you have to build the application. So once you start building your application, you need to connect with a backend. You need a database. You need to have data stored somewhere so that your application can connect to that. So now I'm done my building and my connecting, and then I want to test the particular application that I'm building. So we're going to test that. So now we are finished with the testing phase. We got to deploy it. So meaning put it to the marketplace or the store so that a general public can download from the store and then start using it on their devices. So that is fine. So now I want to manage who gets the application itself. So basically, I don't want everybody to get my application. Maybe before I put it to the marketplace within my organization, I want to make sure that I pilot it, and then I don't want every employee to get it, but maybe I will choose certain candidates for this, and then only those guys should get my application, and then it should be seamless, like go to your store and then download kind of thing. Now, when everything is done and then it's there in the marketplace, people have started downloading it, I would like to measure how my application is doing, right? This is typically like my application is on Android, iOS, and Windows Phone. I want to know from where am I getting my huge customer base from? Is it Android? Is it iOS? Is it Windows Phone? So that my next iteration I can focus on that particular platform. Not only that, I want to know when is my application is being used. I want to know from where is my application is being used. So I call this as A to Z of mobility, or this is the complete landscape if you want to jump onto a mobile application development, right? Design, build, connect, test, deploy, manage, and measure. And what is Telerik Platform? Basically, Telerik Platform is an end-to-end yet modular platform. If you observe closely this particular the image or the picture that we have here, these are looking like a Lego blocks. If you focus here where my cursor is now, these are the Lego blocks. If you see, each block is kind of joining to the other block, or I can just remove it. I can remove a block and then still they exist on their own. So that's why we say this Telerik platform is the only end-to-end yet modular platform. You can either use everything that you want, address all aspects of your app development lifecycle, or only those most relevant to you. So what do I mean by that? I want everything. Yes, we'll give you as part of the platform. No, I want only the connect. That is the backend. Okay, we'll give you the backend. Or no, I want to just focus on testing. Yeah, we will give you the testing. So today, our focus is on this Lego block, which is known as Telerik Mobile Testing Framework. So that's a brief intro about Telerik Platform. If you want to know more about Telerik Platform, you can always go to www.telerik.com//platform. So that's where you'll get an overview of the Telerik Platform. Now coming back to mobile testing, so Telerik Mobile Testing is nothing but a framework or an automated testing solution that we provide you. You can test your native apps or a hybrid app or a mobile web app using our mobile testing framework. So basically it's one coded test, but it can be executed on any device or clients. So typically the device or clients that what I mean by that is an iOS native app, an Android native app, a hybrid mobile app. Maybe, when I say hybrid mobile app, the mobile hybrid apps can run on Android or iOS or Windows Phone. So that's why I'm saying, these are my devices or clients. Or if you are running it on a mobile browser, yes, I can write a test only once and then run on anybody, like desktop browser, mobile browser, native iOS, Android, hybrid mobile app. So I can run on any of these devices or clients. So that's what Telerik Mobile Testing is all about. It's a framework. It's an automated testing solution which lets you to test native, hybrid, and mobile web apps. So how do you get access to a mobile testing framework? Let me quickly show you that. So basically, first you will need to sign up for our Telerik platform. Yes, of course, the Telerik platform is not a free open source product. It's a commercial, it's an enterprise product. Of course, you will have to pay for it, but we have a free 30-day trial wherein you will be able to consume A to Z of the service offering that we have as part of the platform. Just head over to platform.telerik.com and then sign up. Once you sign up, you can go to the download section of the platform and you can download the Telerik Mobile Testing Framework. So let me quickly show you this particular thing. We'll come back to this. So let me bring up a browser. So what I'm doing now here is I'm going to be getting into platform.telerik.com. Of course, my browser would have cached my credentials now, so it will take me directly into the platform portal. So this is everything on the cloud, on the browser. You can do pretty much A to Z on the browser itself. And just give me a second so that the workspace comes up. So we have a concept of workspace. So the concept of workspace is nothing but it's like a project. So we kind of segregate different projects with the names with a scope of workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and then create a new workspace, and I'm going to call it as TMT demo or TMT webinar workspace. So TMT stands for Telerik Mobile Testing. That's a short form that we all use internally. So what you see here is the pillars of our Telerik mobile platform. Remember, I talked about building. So these are the app builder or the application builder service. Here's the backend service. Here's the analytics used to measure. Here is the mobile testing used to test. Here's the app feedback. Here's the app prototyper, all those things. I can create a mobile testing project from here. I will call it as TMT webinar demo. And just go ahead and then create this. So now what we have done is, this portal will be the place where the test results can be uploaded. So basically, you do your testing and then you push your test results over to the portal. Anybody having access to the portal can just come in, take a look at it. If you see here now it says 00, that's because there's nothing. So I will need to have this particular API key I'll need to generate an API key. I need to, we'll come back to this, I need this project ID and API key to push the results. Now, where do I get the mobile testing framework itself? Let's go to the download section. And in the download section, we're going to see, like, it says, okay, what do you want to do? So there are certain SDKs and tools. So I'm interested in mobile testing. So if you see here, there is mobile testing framework. So I can click on the download, and then it allows me, it gives me the testing framework. We also have this feature called as companion app for Telerik mobile testing. So this acts as an agent residing on the device, so that it can do all the communication between our testing server and then the application under test itself. It acts as an intermediate bridge. So the testing server will send instruction to the companion app. Companion app will go load the native app and then fire the instructions onto the device itself. So we'll come back to this. For now, to start out with, you will need to go download this mobile testing framework. Click on the download button. For the interest of the time, I've already done that. So let me show you where my what do you get. So typically, what you get when you download, when you hit that download button, is actually a zip file, and I already unzipped it. So what you get in the zip is a bin folder, an extensions folder, an samples folder, and then, of course, if you are on a Mac OS or on a Windows OS, we give you, the start_osx.command. It's pretty similar to a batch file or a command file. And for Windows platform, we have the start_win.cmd. So in order to kickstart, or in order to start testing, what you would need to do is you will need to first do this, run this start_win.cmd file. So what I'm going to do is bring up a command prompt, and I will go and execute start_win.cmd. So I'm hitting the enter now. So you will see, like, it says starting Telerik mobile testing, and then it quickly switched over to a browser. Now you may be wondering what happens here. Well, let's go back and then see what is happening here. So let me zoom in. If you see here, we have some things happening on our console window. It says test runner is available at IP:/test runner. Web agent is available at, again, IP:/port. Message server is available at WS://, and IP:/8081. So basically, the Telerik mobile testing framework is nothing but there's a test runner which does the heavy lifting of running a test. If you give it a test, it will do all the things to run a test on a device or on a, I can create a web agent, so meaning I can bring up a browser and say, this is the agent, run the test against that agent. So we'll see all those things. So the message server is necessary to actually do all the message plumbing back and forth between your device and the test runner. So the scenario is, I have a mobile phone and I have an Android or an iOS or a Windows phone installed on that, whichever device you're using. So there we need to have this component called as Telerik Mobile Testing Companion App, and that companion app talks to this test runner through socket. So if you see here, the protocol that it's using is WS://. So that's the WebSocket protocol that it is using to make a communication between that. If it is a web agent, or if I'm testing a web browser, maybe a mobile web browser or a standard desktop browser, it's going to use this particular web agent URL to actually do that communication with that. So now, and then another thing it did was, it said the test runner is running on this. So this is the test runner. So don't worry about what you see on the left-hand side. We'll come back to that. But basically, this is a fairly simple UI that you have. On the left-hand side, what you're seeing is actually the test cases. We'll come back to that. And on the right-hand side, it will start showing up all the agents. So we'll see quickly some things. As I said, for today's, to keep it simple, we're going to be using a mobile web application. We already kind of package a node-based simple HTML, an application which is like a taco builder. I'm pretty sure you would have gone to Taco Bell and then you would have eaten a taco. So now we have a demo application which actually, kind of builds the taco. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start another command prompt, and if you see here, we have a demo web server. So basically, we created a little tiny server here, node-based app. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say node demo web server.js. So it says server running at HTTP localhost :3006. So let's go to this particular 3006 and then see what do we have. So I can come back here and then say localhost :3006. And there we go. We have Telerik tacos. Basically I can say I want the corn tortilla or the flour tortilla. So I like the corn one, and I can say like I want the veggie because I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat the non-veg, and I like avocado. I like the grilled onion. I like the diced onion also, and then I like the cilantros also. And make it mild is what I will tell the chef, and then maybe we need a gift wrapping. Of course, it has all the other things like, you can enter the contact information, billing address, blah, blah, blah. I can click on the submit button. It says there were problems with your order. It will see like, it is doing a checks or whatever. So this is a simple web application, but this is mobile optimized too. So what I will do is I'll bring up Opera mobile emulator, and then I'll bring up maybe HTC One X, which is 720 by 1280. I will launch that. So now what we're going to do is we are assuming that I'm on a mobile device. I opened up a browser and then I'm navigating to this particular website. And as you can see here, so this is mobile optimized, as I said. So I can click on this. I can do the same stuff. It is doing whatever we like it to do, and blah blah blah. So you get the same thing. So now we want to test this, assuming like, this is running on a mobile browser, we want to test this. So what do we do? How do we do it? So that's the whole premise of this. So what we have done is, I'm going to start showing you how to write a mobile test case. So once you have downloaded and then installed the Telerik mobile testing framework, all you need to do is you will need to start writing your specs, or what we call, so the test cases are nothing but specs. So there is a folder that we have kept called as specs. And if you see here, it says my controls demo spec, my spec.js, taco form spec. In the interest of the time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I did. So I will go ahead and then delete this guy, and let's see what happens in my IE. And there you go. So what happened now was it doesn't show you my spec.js or whatever it was coming up earlier. So now in the test runner, I've already said that, hey, you can find specs at this particular folder, which is very relative to where the test runner is. And then I've said like, this is where I'll keep all the specs. So that is where I have kept this another file called as myspec.js file. So all you need to do is just come in and create a spec file. So I'm using Sublime. It's an editor. So let me increase the font if you're not able to see. So what I'm going to do now is first I'm going to create a spec. So spec is nothing but just that's it. This is how our framework will tell you, or this is our one of the things that you will need to do. Using our framework, you start out with a spec, and then what you do is you will create a empty suite, or basically you will create a testing suite. So I'm going to say this is my test suite. You just give it a name. So now, here's the interesting thing I want to show. Where is my test runner? Here's my test runner. I'm going to dock my test runner to the left, and I'm going to dock the Sublime editor to the right. Now, I haven't saved my file. On the left-hand side, you see only two suites coming up. So the suites are here. So if you see here, it says common HTML controls, taco form entry. Now, I'm going to just go and then save this. Okay, and you will see that on the left-hand side, you see that it's now bringing up my test suite. So this is how you start creating a suite. So I just created a suite. Now I'm going to create a test, and I'm going to say my test one. Give me a second. I will say my test one, and I save it. So you will see on the left-hand side, the spec file was reloaded, and then I will see there's nothing coming up. That is because a test without a step is nothing. So I have to come in here and then create a test step, and I will say my test one step one. I know this is not meaningful, but just to prove a point, like this is how this is all working. So So this is how you will start creating a step. It's still not coming up because there are other things that we need to do. Now I know that I have an application running at localhost 3006. So this is what I want to test. So one other additional thing that we would have to do is just go to your demo or whichever app that you want to test, and you will need to create a folder called as agent. I mean, you can give it any name, but I've followed a best practice that, we call it as agent, the folder name, and then we give you 3 files that would need to be kept as part of this particular folder. Just keep it. You don't have to refer it. You don't have to do anything anywhere. We just want you to keep these 3 files in a folder, and then what you can do is during the production build, you can actually remove this folder at all. Don't package this folder. This is required only during the testing time. So now I know that my domain are basically I want, so let me bring full screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cheat and then copy a little bit of code here. So I'm saying, hey, the current domain that is under test is localhost 3006. Remember, this can be anything. If you are hosted in Azure, it can be like mytacos.azurewebsites.net or whatever you have. You can just pretty much put this anywhere. And this is the folder that I was talking about, and this is the HTML file that you will need to do. Basically, we will need to prep that particular domain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly write a simple step, or I'm going to name it correctly. So my step is going to be redirect to site under test, and then I'm going to cheat and then copy a little bit of code. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm saying, notice how I'm just saying web.prepare domain, web.navigate URL, web.wait for URL. So you're writing complete test in JavaScript, and there's nothing new things that you need to learn here. And of course our documentation will let you know what are the things that we support as part of, let's say if you want to invoke an Android, so of course instead of web it will be android.launch URL, and then you give the unique application URL that your app will have, and then our companion app will start launching that particular application when the test is done. So this is an example where we are testing a mobile web application. So that's why we have a URL, and then I'm saying prepare domain and all those things. So now I'm going to save this. Now my test suite is ready. So basically what I've done is I've gone ahead, created my test suite, all those things. I'm going to uncheck all. I don't want to run everything, and there you go. If you see now, I have my test one coming up here. So I want to run this test, but run where, right? Remember we had created a Opera mobile emulator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this emulator here. Now for the test runner to test the test whatever you written, I need to first add an agent. So I click on add an agent, and it says, hey, navigate your mobile browser to this URL, and that URL is 192.168.56.1:3001. So now what I will do is I'll go to my Opera emulator, click on that. Now something happened. You see that Telerik mobile testing connected and ready to run tests. And now my Opera mobile emulator has become an agent. How do I know that? Take a look at here. It says Opera 12.1.0 Windows, right? That's it. Now I have an agent ready. And not only that, I can just bring up any browser and then just navigate to this URL, and now they all become kind of a agent for me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run this test that we created. Remember, we just created a test where we said go prep that domain. So I'm going to say run, and on the right hand side you will see like it's already done. It's basically prepped it. So let's do something different. I'm going to write one more test case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to create a new test. So let me create a new test, and the test will be so empty test, and I will say random test, and of course I need to write a step. So in the step what I will do is I have to say I'll say tag name query or whatever it is. So basically I'm trying to figure out a button So what I will do is I will say, hey, set a style. So this is a querying syntax. So I'm saying find any element whose tag name is button but is available at index 0, and set a style called background color to a very specific color. So that color is, let me create a variable. So I'm going to create a variable right above here. And I've said, like, I want this to be like RGB 95, 158, 168, whatever. And then I will go and say, okay, grab the same the element, and then now check for its background color. If that background color is equal to this, just assert it. If it is not, it's going to be something different color, so the test is going to fail. So now what I'm going to do is I need this step also, because or we'll run both of them, so that will work. So you need to first prep it, and then you write it, you execute any test that you want. It's a simple test, but I'll show you a complex one. In the interest of the time, I'm just doing everything like this. So let me go back to the test. Now, if I expand, so you will see, like, as soon as I save, it shows me my two tests are here. So now we are still connected with an agent, and I'm going to say run the test. What happened? Let me check. Element not found. Okay, let me come back. Okay, we are still connected. Run the test. Okay, it is failing. Tag name query, web style, element not found. Oh. 3006. So let's make sure this domain is there. Let me go back. Yes, this guy is there. And then now we're still connected. So now we lost the connection. So let's say add agent, copy the shortcut, come back here. And we are connected. Now I'm going to say run. Okay, not sure what is happening. So let's come back. So I'll try to explain what is happening. I'll figure this out and then I'll let you guys know what happened. So I tried this 5 times before this, and then demo gods are not with me today. So simple stuff. So basically what we are doing is describe a suite, describe a test, and then start writing your steps. In the steps you will have operations. So basically if you look at this particular operation, I'm saying set the style on this particular button, and the style property that I want you to set is this particular background color, and then assertion is nothing but, okay, let me get back that particular background color, and then try to check if it is equal to whatever I set it. So that's how you check, set and then get and then make sure it is working, and then it is there. Now in order to show more complex ones, I can pretty much bring up another test case that we already shipped. So basically if you see here, you can basically, this is a JavaScript object type where I'm creating. We have this concept of step repository, wherein you can create repositories, like so that I want to reuse that particular step. I can start creating a repository wherein I say redirect to site under test, tap flow tortilla, and then basically if you see here, web.tap.get checked, .click.get checked, set selected value, get style, and all those things. With step repository, what happens is, now if I look at my test cases, here's a suite. The suite is taco form entry. That's the test suite name. And look at the test now. If I have a test called as build a taco, look at how readability comes into picture now. I'm saying step, tap flow tortilla, click on this, select the filling, select this particular toppings, leave a comment, checks, gift wrapping checkbox, ensure subtotal is this. Where are these? These are all defined in my step repository. If you see here, I have click on tortilla, select fajita filling, hide tortilla, show tortillas, select a topping, leave a comment, check gift wrap. So like that. Now what we can do is, so this is already there, it's inbuilt, it will be available to you even if you download now. And so now what we will do is, we'll bring up the same thing. Instead of running all these guys, let me run this common HTML controls, and then I will say run test. And there you go. On the right hand side, if you see here, it is actually doing the test. And then it says, hey, your test suite is done, and then it's been it is executed it. Now I can uncheck this suite, and then I can go in and then say like, hey, I want you to execute this taco form entry. So it goes there. It's going to do click, click, click. If you see here, it's doing a lot of things, and finally it will say, okay, this is like mobile crash. So the mobile emulator has crashed. So let me exit this. Maybe what I will do is I will try to bring in another browser and assume that the browser is actually an agent. So now we need to set up the agent. So what we will do is I will say add an agent. Oh, it's still running. So let's, yeah, it's kind of in a hung state now. So let me bring it back because the emulator just dropped. This guy thinks he's still running. Okay, now he's going to just refresh. And I'm going to uncheck everybody, but just keep taco form entry. I need to add an agent now. So what I will do is click on add agent, copy the shortcut, paste it, and there you go. So now the browser becomes an agent for me. And if you see here, the runner will show that, hey, there is an agent already available. So now I'm going to say run this test, which is taco form entry. So keep looking on the right-hand side. It's going to happen so fast. I'm not sure how GoToMeeting will actually show it to you guys. It's going to happen very fast. And then there you go. Now the total is 1275. Basically, what I had said was click on the corn tortilla, select fajita filling. The topping should be avocado, grilled, and all those things. Comment should be BAM. And name is John Doe, phone, blah, blah, blah. The total should be 1275. So if I show the, so if you see here, we said the build the form taco entry. So we said ensure subtotal is 12.75. So that's what's being done. So this is a very, I know, very short and then very quick way to let you know that how this is done. But I hope you get the the way the framework works. It's basically a simple one, the coded test that you can write and run against everything. So let me show you quickly the test that we have for maybe an Android. So if you see here, this is an Android spec file. If you see here, I have a button spec, I have all this thing, maybe miscellaneous control spec. So if in order to make it run under Android, all you need to do is in your step, just put this particular keyword called Android and then write the step. So what our mobile testing framework will do is it will automatically pick up those operations that needs to be executed on that particular platform and then run it. So basically what I can do is I can come in here and then say like, hey, I want this to be on web. So, or I can say like on iOS, I want you to do this. Or maybe on web, I want you to do this. It's the same test case, but you don't have to actually have 3 different codes. Rather, here, just put the platform-specific instructions here, and then if you think that everywhere it's going to be the default, meaning it can just use this particular default operations, you can pretty much do like this. So that is the flexibility that we give you as part of our Telerik mobile testing framework. Everything is JavaScript. You don't have to do you don't have to run anything new. Only thing that you need to know is this keyword like spec, and then you have the repository, the step, the test, and then the describe. So describe will actually create a suite. Test is nothing but a particular test. Step is nothing but a step in a test, and then these are the operations that you provide in a test. So that's in a very nutshell, what our Telerik testing, mobile testing framework is all about. So I didn't run through the slides. So quickly wrapping up, we have a node-based test server. We also have a mobile testing agent application available for Android, iOS, Windows Phone. Communicates with the node server and the app under test. So I showed you the installation demo. So the testing process is very simple. Include the agent infrastructure in your apps. You then write test or test, and then you execute the test. So the agent infrastructure is nothing but, if I go back to the installation folder, you will have a folder called extensions. So for Android, we'll give you a jar file which needs to be packaged with your app. For Cordova, we have a Cordova plugin called com.telerik.mobile testing plugin. For iOS, we have a .a file, lib mobile testing extension.a file. For web, we have this a JavaScript file and then bunch of HTML files. You just need to include this in your particular applications for Windows Phone. We have this Telerik.mobile testing, that extension. Of course, it needs all the other supporting DLL. So that's how you include the agent infrastructure. Then you write the test case in just JavaScript. It doesn't matter which platform you're testing, but it's just JavaScript. So agent infrastructure is what I said, Android, Cordova, iOS, WP8, web. And writing test is create a test suite, create a test, create a step, create operations under the step. So that's it, and then you start doing it. And this is the functionality demo that we saw. So now it's another interesting thing that Abhishek will be showcasing to us. It's mobile web services load testing. I will be on the Q&A panel. I will start looking at the Q&A panel and then start answering any of your questions that you have for testing, functionality testing. And now I hand it over to Abhishek. Abhishek, over to you.
All right, 1 second as I take just 1 second. All right, here we go. All right, so let me know when you have the screen.
We can see you.
All right, great. So Lohit has already showed us in great detail how to do the functional testing for mobile web applications, which is pretty similar to doing mobile applications as well. Now, what we are going to be worrying about right now is if the service that is supporting our mobile app or mobile web app or mobile native or hybrid application, how do we scale that? So we've got a few steps that you need to do, and the tool that you're going to use for this is Telerik Test Studio. I'm not going to be delving too much into the detail of the application, but needless to say, it is a suite which is Telerik Test Studio, which can do functional testing for the web applications, can do load testing, and can also do performance testing. So with that bit of information, let me actually switch to the Test Studio interface. So this is the Test Studio interface. And even before I get to record the test and show you how the load testing can be done, we need to do a little bit of setting because you're going to be using a mobile device. I have no easy way of projecting the device to you right now. I tried it, but for some reason right now it's just not coming through. I will see if I can bring it up some way, but I think the wrong, let me see. All right, so sorry, really that isn't coming up very well. So all right, just in interest of time, I will move a little faster rather than having to wait for this. Okay, so there are a few steps. Essentially, what you're going to be doing is whatever on your mobile device, and I have a little Android device here with me. What I'm going to do is on the Android device, I'm going to set up a proxy of the machine on which Test Studio is running. So this is Test Studio running on my machine. And as you can see on my command line, I have just typed in a simple command called ipconfig. So that's the command that I have run. And the ipconfig command, you will notice, gives me the current IP of the machine, which is 192.168.200.107. You can read this in the Wi-Fi section, which is wireless LAN adapter Wi-Fi. So since this computer is connected to the Wi-Fi, I use this particular IP4 address. And also my mobile device, which is going to host the application I'm testing, needs to be on the same Wi-Fi network. So the Android device that I'm holding, that unfortunately you can't see, which I feel really sorry about, and I will try and see if I can get this working once again. All right, I think, yes, I think the mobile device gods have agreed to help here. So I will do something, and probably you can also see me. So if you open your webcam section, you will probably be able to see this. But essentially, this is the Android device that I have. and I think it is still not coming through very well. Anyway, all I'm really going to be doing is going into the settings of the Android application, and in the Wi-Fi section, I'm going to select the Wi-Fi that I'm connected to, which is this time called Telerik India, and going to kind of hold it. It will tell me to modify the network, and in the network settings, I will change the proxy to be manual, and in that manual proxy, I will set the host name as the name of the machine which is running Test Studio. So you can see here it is going to be 192.168.200.107, and port is by default Test Studio is going to use 9001. So if you couldn't see it, I apologize, but essentially that's the setting I've done on my phone. Now, after the setting is done on the phone, what it achieves is all the communication of the phone is going to be routed through this particular computer which is running Test Studio. Now, on Test Studio, all I need to do is say add a new test. I'm going to call it the Ninjaverse test. All right, so if you have already downloaded the application, that's great. If you have not, here is what we are going to do. So I'm going to select the load test, and I'm going to call this the Ninjaverse application. So Ninjaverse load, let's say, and I'm going to say create. Now, after I've created this test, I'm going to be recording this test, and the way I'm going to be recording this test is I've just double-clicked on Ninjaverse load, and I'm going to create a new user profile. Now, I'm going to capture a new session. Now, we're not going to be using a browser on this machine. In fact, we are not even going to use this machine to capture our traffic. So there is an interesting option which is part in section 2, which is capture all traffic from any remote source. Now what this allows you to do is it will capture any traffic that is coming up, and it will show you all the traffic that is being captured. So I am kind of working on my PC, on my mobile device right now, and you can see at the back the number of requests which my mobile device is making is automatically getting captured at the back. Obviously, my phone is pretty chatty at this time. And I have just started my Ninjaverse application. So on my mobile device, that's why you see that requests getting captured like nobody's business. 1 second. I am going to go into one of the sections of the mobile application, and this section is going to be the blogs section, which is basically on the phone is called the news. And the moment I click on that news, it gives me a bunch of news items. I'm going to then again go and look for another news section called mobile devs. I'm sorry you can't see all I'm doing, but I think you're able to capture all the, or you're watching all the the requests that are getting captured here. All right, so I'm going to now stop recording. All right, so this is the traffic that I got. So all the activity I did on actually the phone, and what you were able to capture is all the traffic that was being sent out of the phone itself. Well, this can be a big revelation in itself in terms of what all the mobile phone keeps chatting. But as you can see, there is a bunch of conversation that the device did. Now, not all of this is going to be of use to me. As you can see, there is a bunch of Hotmail thingies. So I need to filter all this out and only focus on the communication that was relevant to me. So there are two ways. I can either just start deleting all of them. Well, since this is not too much, I can actually do that. But a better way, and the one that is recommended, I'm kind of just showing you because there is too much. All right, I will come to the phase. Okay, I can just delete all of them because this is all the chatty communication from my mobile device. All right, I will just and watch these think times that have also been incorporated. Okay, now I want to actually capture only the communication, and I have clicked on that filter button. I only want to capture the communication that went with my backend service. Remember the application server I talked about, which is this api.everlive.com. mobile.com. So I only want communication captured from this particular URL. And as you can see, these are the pieces, the ones that are ticked, which are from this communication link. Either you can keep them or you can continue to delete the remaining, which kind of, this is my mail server, Telerik's mail server, so kind of all of that is there. Well, sort of we've kind of almost reduced this to only api.everlive.com. All right, great. Now our load profile is created and it is basically ready for you to load test. Now how you will configure your load test is, now that this is one person working on this, what you can do is you can go here and you can set up, if 100 such devices were going to work, what was going to happen. Now you don't want to ramp up immediately, so you're going to say 1 minute and you're going to say run the test for 2 minutes. So this is the kind of profile for this particular user profile that I've captured that I'm going to run. Once this is set up, all I need to do is say run. Now you have these various parameters that are shown to you. I don't have to capture it every 5 seconds. Maybe I can capture it in 15 seconds. So the resolution of data you can also configure. I want to make sure that my response times are captured and that my response times are going to be more than 3 seconds. So 300 milliseconds, 3000 milliseconds if I have to configure this. And I should not receive any HTTP error. If you wanted to do the throughput, you could do whatever you wanted. And then I'm going to say run this test. So this test will start running. As you can see, it is saying sending the test to the scheduler. So this test will go on, and ultimately when the test starts running, you will start seeing the responses or the graph of the entire communication. So, well, I think the test is still kind of getting kicked off. It takes a second. It has to set up a few things, and once this is run, you will get to that information. Well, this was a simple way. I'm pretty sure you know how the load tests look like, but I wanted to show you how simply you can actually do mobile testing for web applications. So with this, what I will do is we have Dan on standby, and I do realize that it is almost the end of the session for us. We've run out of time. What I will do is maybe once we have taken a look at one or two questions, Lohit, if you did want to take a look at one or two questions, what we will do is we will start looking at and then we'll invite Dan over for the session. Since he could not be here physically, what we are trying to do is we are going to play a quick video of his, and that we are going to stream directly through to you. So while Lohit, if you want to take a question or two, I will set this up. And as you can see, the test is also running. So I will let the test run, and as it runs, maybe once you've taken a question or two, we'll come back to this test and talk about what.
Sure, I think. Sure, I think many were actually getting kind of they're feeling like they're not able to see. So sorry about that. So we tried our best to show actually what was happening on the mobile phone. Abhishek was actually trying to mirror his Android phone that he had, and then we were actually doing some, we have an app, and an app was doing a lot of communication there with the server. So that is what he was trying to show, but unfortunately, the technical glitches always happen, so we were not able to, show it. So sorry about, if you feel that everything was not helpful, so just do write back to us. We will give our email IDs. There was one question where if it says, if I write code for iOS and Android under one spec, can I run it separately for each of the platform and also combine? Yeah, so basically, Rajita, the concept here is when you write a step, inside the operations inside the step, you can actually say, basically I want to write a single test or a suite for all my applications. So I may have an Android, I may have an iOS, I may have a Windows phone. So the concept that we are trying to come out here is you write one test suite and you write one test, but inside that you will have different operations for different platforms. But when you run this test using our mobile testing framework, depending on who is the the agent. For example, if you are testing a native Android app, you need to have something called as Telerik Mobile Testing Companion app to be put up on the device itself. The companion app has to then do a ping back to the test runner. So that's how we do a handshake between those two. And the test runner will now start sending instructions over to that companion app on the Android. So when it does, it knows that it is an Android platform, and it will only send instructions of the Android. So basically, you write, basically you write only one spec file, and then you do it. So yes, you can do that. And let me see if there is anything else. What is the limit of concurrent users for single load test? Abhishek, when I think they're talking about when you set that load, is there a max limit that we have or anything like that?
There is no conceptual limit to what you can run because really what we have, a quick mandate for is or thumb rule is for only the number of users per core. So that is about 500, which is 500 users or virtual users per core for a machine that we propose, because each virtual user that gets created needs resources. So if you're going to be using more than 500 users, if your machine is a single core, dual core, then 1,000, and if it's quad core, then you obviously have 2,000 virtual users that you can run off a single machine. But if your need is even higher than that, in that case, you will need to distribute the load on different machines, which is supported in Test Studio. So maybe another day we can look at that. But really, I mean, there is no theoretical limit as such. All we require you to do is to go out and actually just run the tests on multiple machines based on the number of virtual users you have. All right, so I think, what I will do is I will kind of show the results that we've received already. So 1 second. Just 1 second. I'm trying to, wow, okay. 1 second here. All right. Okay, so let me know when you can see my screen. I think you're able to see my screen, and you can see the results have come up. Well, the test obviously failed. The load criteria that we had set out has failed really because you can see this is the graph, and on my as we were capturing all this information, there was average response time, there was HTTP errors, and then there was at any time the created virtual user. So as you can see, the virtual users just kept going up. Now you will notice that as our virtual users went up, we have this wavy line that goes up and then goes down. So the average response time really kept fluctuating. You can see the individual data as I go about moving here. Now the good thing is at least it didn't give an error. But really, this is the profile that you want to report down to your management team, saying this is the behavior that I'm observing. You can do actually many more things. The right metrics to use should have been actually the current virtual users. So, so as you can see, this was rising for a minute. It went up to 100, and then it stabilized after 100. So this was the virtual users, and your timing across the response time was also visible here. This is the profile that you're getting out of your services, and this is important when you're doing your web services load testing. You can also export the result from here, and this will give you every 15 seconds what was the response time and all the other matrices that you gathered right out of the export, and it'll sort of have a table. If you're used to seeing the JMeter kind of a scenario where there's raw data available for you to analyze, you could definitely export this results. And why don't I just do this in a second, because this is very quick. I could just go in here, go to desktop and save it. So it'll export, and you will probably get a very, detailed kind of a graph that you are used to seeing. All right, so give it a second. All right, there you go. that's the kind of data that you want to look at, so you have all the data that you need. I mean, we want to kind of not worry you with all of that data, because this is much simpler to comprehend and get your head around. So we worked quite a bit to actually analyze this for you and plot you these nice graphs that are simple to look at and then simple to share as well. All right. With that, we come to the last part of the section, which is probably we are going to talk more about we're going to talk about the latest new features, and to do that, I have a recording from Dan, which I'm going to just play out. It will still need a little bit of setting from my end, so one second. All right, and I'm going to now play the video for you so that you can hear Dan talk about our device cloud. I think the audio is. So Lohit, I just wanted to understand if you were able to hear the video. Sorry, if you were able to hear the audio.
Audio is not coming through.
Okay. Right, it's going to be slightly difficult for me. 1 second to see if I can.
App Builder IDE. This allows you to create a mobile testing project with a simple click of the mouse and to house all your tests alongside your app. Just like working within App Builder, you'll be able to commit files into source control and get files and so on. The next key problem area that we'll address is device fragmentation. Many of the customers that I've spoke with over the years seem to have a few devices that they consider to be their key devices for test automation, or for testing in general. And any app that's developed gets tested on those devices. As new devices come out and become popular, new devices are purchased and set up within their test environment and become part of their routine. But the massive number of devices that are out there is growing every day. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of devices. Android is fragmented and iOS is becoming increasingly fragmented. So we've got a great solution to this problem, and it's called the Telerik Device Cloud. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek tour of the beta bits today. Lastly, you need the ability to pinpoint problems. So we've got device fragmentation addressed, we've boosted your productivity, and we want to help you easily pinpoint problems. And we've got new reporting complete with screenshots that's available in a new test portal that glues our entire solution together conveniently within the platform. These are the key pieces of the beta release that I'll be highlighting today. So here we are within the platform, and I've already got an app builder project called Friends Created. We'll go into that project, and you'll notice our project navigator on the right-hand side looks the same. However, there's new functionality. When you right-click, you'll see an option to add a mobile testing project. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And that simply adds the project and my first mobile testing Suite 1 sample.js file. So I'm just going to go ahead and rename this file, and we're going to call this our friends test. And we'll click to open it. And rather than sit here and take the time to actually write a test out, I'm going to go in and remove the sample code that we provide with the template and paste in a real test and click on Save. So as you scroll up, you'll see this is all written with our JavaScript testing framework. And as you scroll down, you'll actually see where the test list is defined, as well as each test and the steps for the test. And of course, all the actions are up top here, you can see. So without getting too much into the framework itself, we do have other material available to get you familiar with our framework if you haven't yet taken a look. I really want to focus on the integration piece. So you'll see here we've got that second project that it's created. We've got our one test. We need to commit that test into source control. So we'll simply right-click just as you would with anything else within App Builder and commit. And we've got our friend's test, and we'll go ahead and commit that. Okay. Coming back into App Builder, there's just a couple things I'll point out. One is if you go into your properties and you go to your plugins, you'll scroll down. Under other plugins, you'll see we've automatically hooked in our mobile testing plugin. And if you expand this, this is where your configuration variables are for iOS. Okay. Good. So we'll go ahead and close out of this, and we're good to go. We've got our test, we're saved, we're committed, and we're going to go ahead and click out of App Builder. So the next thing that I'd like to point out is a new link that's located up top called our test portal. And as I mentioned earlier, our test portal is the piece that glues everything together. This is where you have your entire history of test runs. It's where you can actually create a new test run, and it's where you can view detailed reporting. We'll go ahead and click into the test portal. So within the test portal, there are three main sections: test runs, projects, and device lists. So we'll take a quick tour through each of these sections. First up is device lists. When you click into device lists, this is talking about our device cloud. Access to over 350 devices in the cloud at your fingertips to execute your tests on. To create your own personal device list, simply create device list, give it a name, and for this demo, we're just going to call this my friend's app nightly run. And these are the devices that I'll use in my nightly run. So we'll go ahead and check that off, and we'll edit this list. I'm going to keep this pretty simple for the purposes of this demo. So we'll go ahead and search for a couple devices. First, let's look for a Motorola. And I guess we'll do a Razer. Razer. And we'll do this XT890. And you can just I have my screen resolution reduced a little bit for this demo. So there's that one. And why don't we add a Samsung? And we'll do the Nexus. We'll do the Nexus S here. We'll check that off and add that selected. So over here on the right-hand side, you can see these are the devices that I have in that list. And this is my search mechanism using all these filters over here on the left-hand side. And we'll be expanding on these filters, obviously, as time goes by. You can create a single device list that's made up of both Android and iOS tests. So you don't have to have one list for Android and one list for iOS. And you can see some of the iOS devices that we have available here. And you can filter based on version. But again, access to over 350 devices through Telerik's Device Cloud. So we've got our list created, and we'll click on Save Changes. And the next thing we want to do is create a test run. And to do so, we click on our test runs. And this is going to show you a history of all the tests that have run, combined with the ability to allow you to create a new test run. We'll go ahead and click Create Run. And the creation of the test run is looking at all the applications you have within your project. So we're taking a look, what do you have defined as a hybrid app within App Builder? Right now we only have our Friends app, so we'll go ahead and select our Friends app. And we're actually going to pull in the test list that is associated with that particular test. Of course, if you remember, when I pasted in that test within App Builder, there was a test list and multiple tests. That all gets pulled in automatically. So when we're talking about submitting a run to the device cloud, you don't have to upload your application. You don't have to hook in your mobile testing plugin or API keys. You don't have to load up the APK files. There's nothing that you need to do. It's all seamless. You come in here, you select the application under test, you select the tests that you'd like included, and then you select your device list that we've created, which is our Friends App Nightly Run. So from here, there's really only one other option, and that option is our device timeout. And the device timeout is all about what if there was a problem with your test, and for some reason the device locked up. You don't want that device to be unavailable for anyone else during that time. So what you're doing is you're setting a maximum amount of time per test to execute against that device. So we'll keep this at 5 minutes here, and we'll go ahead and submit. Now, of course, if you're setting a maximum timeout of 10 minutes and you've got 100 devices and 50 tests, well, of course, we do some math there, and we make sure that you have enough time within your Telerik account, enough device minutes within your account to execute that worst case scenario. See? So we'll go ahead and click on Submit, and we'll just do a couple things here. You can see that we're building the Android package. Obviously, I'm only running this against Android right now. And while this is building and getting all ready to go, it's important to note that we have a free device list. And the free device list is available to every single platform user, whether you're in a trial account, starter account, developer, professional, business, enterprise. All package levels have access to our free devices. And for our platform trial, starter, and our developers, you get 15 minutes of device cloud time against this free device list. And of course, for our professional, business, and enterprise customers, to start for this beta, we're giving 60 minutes per month of device cloud access time. And it's not just against the free device list. It's against all the devices that we have within our device cloud, so access to all 350 accounts. So if you're in our professional, business, or enterprise platform subscription, you just got a huge value add added into your account. And if you're interested in accessing more of the device cloud and you want to upgrade, you can, of course, speak to your account executive about that too. So you can see here we are just about there. We're publishing our specs or our test right now. Just give it another minute. Okay, I think we're good. It's executing that test run. So, of course, that test run might take a bit to execute. It's important to not expect that the test will execute immediately, but you can always come into your test runs and you can see that the test is pending. Now, rather than sit here and wait, I've got a limited amount of time to show you all this good stuff. So rather than sit here and wait, I'll actually click into the results of one of our previous test runs, and we'll go into view details of any particular test. So you can see I had all passes here, but we're going to jump into view details, and we're going to get a little bit more information about this particular test. So let's expand, and again, my screen resolution is a little on the tight side here, but you can see what I'm showing is the test step and the operation here. So this icon indicates the test step and the operation. And as I click on any particular operation, we actually have pulled back a screenshot from the on-device execution. So imagine if you've executed this against 100 different devices, you'll see a screenshot pulled back from our device cloud of all 100 devices for every single operation within your test. Now, just because the test passed doesn't necessarily mean that there's not some sort of other problem. And this is a tremendous way for you to pinpoint UI issues. For example, your functional test passed. You entered your username, you entered your password, you clicked login, and your functional test passed. But what happens if something just doesn't look right on one particular device? This is a tremendous way to come in and find that out. Of course, you have filtering up at the top, so you can filter out only show you failed, only showed passed, tests, and so on. And you get detailed failure information over here on the right-hand side of the screen. So that's just a quick glimpse at our reporting. There's a couple other things that I wanted to point out. One is if we come back into test runs, and I'm sorry for rushing, we're very tight on time for this webinar and there's so much to show. So I'm back in on test runs. When you create a new test run, we showed you cloud devices. However, for those of you that have your own devices hooked up, we actually created new functionality that allows you to have your devices connected via the cloud. So if you have some devices sitting on your desktop and you've downloaded the Telerik Mobile Testing Companion application from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, so you can actually click Connected Device. You'll have a QR code that is displayed on the screen. So then from within your companion application on your device, you scan that QR code. And as soon as you scan that QR code, you connect up here to our cloud so that when you submit your test run, you're actually not submitting it against our cloud devices, but against your physical devices. And there's absolutely nothing that you have to download beyond the companion app to do this. So this is new functionality. Previously, you had to download the Node.js applications from within the download section of the Telerik platform. So this is tremendous new functionality. So that's about it on the demo front. The next thing I'd like to do is jump back into our slides and talk a little bit about what's next for mobile testing. So in early 2015, we've got some tremendous things planned. Enhanced gesture support for the actual core framework. We want the core framework to be the most useful mobile testing framework available, and by adding some enhanced gesture support for Android, iOS, and web, it will be just that. We'll be incorporating JavaScript wrappers for native script, and a mobile testing plugin is going to be available via the Telerik Marketplace. We should have that in December. Device Cloud Minute Bundles are going to become available, so if you want to use beyond the 60 minutes that are included with professional business and enterprise accounts, you'll be able to actually buy minute bundle packs. We'll introduce Device Cloud for native applications, so for those of you that are not using App Builder to create your apps, you'll actually be able to leverage our mobile testing and Device Cloud for those apps. And, of course, a richer App Builder integration and experience. We've got this piece called the Test Navigator that's going to come into play, and actual execution within the App Builder simulator of your tests. So allow you to make sure that your tests are working just fine before you send them off to the Device Cloud. We've got a lot more planned. We're going to go pretty deep into continuous integration as well in 2015 and get that up and going with the Device Cloud. So there's a lot that we have in the works. This is only the early part of the year, probably through February, March timeframe that we've got listed here. So, hey, thank you so much for your time. My name is Daniel Levy, and I'm a product manager for mobile testing and test studio here at Telerik. I've been called on today to spend a few minutes talking about the new functionality that we've added into mobile testing.
So, all right, that was Dan talking about the new functionality that has been added in mobile testing. So thank you so much. I know this went on beyond the schedule that we had, but we wanted to again appreciate your time today, and wanted to leave you with our email IDs that are here. We are going to be putting up the recording of the session shortly on TelerikHelper.net as well.